Horror films are meant to scare the viewers and if possible evoke nightmares, so why watch them then? Some people love the genre of horror films and don't mind catching a horror film alone. If you belong to that category, you are special. In today's video, we focus on horror movies that you can't watch alone, no matter how brave you are. Be warned that today's video may give you some chills. Breathe in and out as we begin, and don't forget to subscribe. Just a reminder of how you can enter our new giveaway in which you can win a new iPhone 12 Pro or a new MacBook Pro. Just leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and watch the whole video till the end. Gretel and Hansel, 2020. This 2020 film based on a German folklore tale is a film like no other. The dark horror film navigates through the journey of two brothers who are forced to fend for themselves in the dangerous woods after their mother goes bananas. They meet a stranger in an isolated home who is kind to them, but soon discover the stranger is conniving to finish them by any means necessary. The film that grossed $21 million has also been praised for its great cinematography, pacing, and other horror elements like no other film. So what are you waiting for? Watch this film. You will not only be scared, but perhaps you will be inspired by its quality. But don't forget, don't dare watch it alone. The Insidious film, 2011 to 2015. The Insidious film is one of the scariest movies of all times. If you haven't watched the film, why don't you try it tonight? And if you make it to sleep alone after the movie, comment on the section down below. The film is directed by James Wan. It follows the journey of a couple who move to a new home with their children. Shortly, their troubles begin after their son enters a coma and it becomes possessed by evil spirits that haunt the family. Seeing the scary scenes that haunt the family is something you can't stand alone. The film has 3 parts, with the latest released in 2015. Relic, 2020. The film follows a story of a daughter and a granddaughter on a mission of finding their matriarch Edna, who goes missing. They head to their remote family home, hoping to find her there, but instead they find the house empty and haunted. Edna's daughter also experiences strange nightmares that will leave you speechless. The next day, Edna appears in form of a corpse and unaware of what happened to her, and this is when all crazy things that you can possibly imagine happen. The film is directed by Natalie Erica and stars Emily Mortimer, Bella Heathcole, and Robin Nevin. It premiered on January 2020 at the Sundance Film Festival before being released on July 3, 2020 in the USA. Dead Silence, US, 2007. The 2007 film is directed by James Wan and written by RIhana. After watching the supernatural horror film, believe me, you will never look at dolls the same way ever again. The story revolves around Jamie Ashen, who returns to his hometown to unravel the mystery of his wife, who dies under unclear circumstances. All their troubles begin after Jamie and his wife receive an anonymous gift of a creepy doll. Later, Jamie's wife dies with her tongue cut out. Who is behind this mystery murder? Check out the film and be sure to watch it with someone, and make sure no doll stands in the room, my friend. Don't say I didn't warn you. The Grudge. The Grudge is a 2020 supernatural horror film rebooted from the Japanese horror film Ju-On. It stars Andrea Riseborough, John Cho, Demian Bichir, Lin Shaye, Jackie Weaver, and Betty Gilpin. The story revolves around a determined police officer investigating a series of murders. The murders are somehow connected to a single house that is haunted. The brave detective decides to break the curse as her life and her daughters are in danger. Breaking a curse is not easy. Believe me when I say that this is the scariest movie I have watched in 2020. I don't need to spoil it for you, but be sure to catch it with someone. The film has mostly received negative criticism, although it grossed over $49 million when it was released by Sony Pictures in January. Have you watched the film? Why do you think it received negative criticism? Share with us in the comment section down below. Antebellum 2020. The film follows the story of Eden, a slave who orchestrates an escape plan only to be discovered by a Confederate leader who abuses her. The film has scenes that will leave you shaking like a leaf. Don't dare watch it alone. This captivating film highlights themes such as oppression and racism, something that many can currently relate with. The team behind the film include Gerald Bush and Christopher Rentz. After watching the film, you will definitely hand it to the team on the fascinating way on how the nightmares, facts, and fiction are brought out like no other. The costumes in the film are also something to watch out for. Watch this film and rate it in the comment section down below. The Descent, 2005 to 2009. The Descent follows the journey of 6 women struggling to survive in a cave where they meet some pretty scary humanoid creatures while on an adventurous trip in the mountains. There is no way out in the dark cave for the women, who are left pretty shaken throughout the film. Imagine yourself in such a situation. Probably not, and watching this movie alone is probably the biggest mistake of your life. You can't stand watching alone the women battle out the scary creatures, also known as crawlers, who are thirsty and craving for their flesh and blood. The characters in the film will inspire you to fight on in whatever situation you may be going through, as giving up is no option. But be sure to catch it with someone who you can call later in the middle of the night when those nightmares come knocking. Don't Breathe, 2016. The title on its own is scary, don't you think? Don't Breathe is a story about 3 friends who make a living from commissions of breaking into wealthy people's houses. On a mission to rob a helpless blind man, they get trapped in his house, where they make some shocking discoveries as the blind man isn't as helpless as they thought. The action unpacks when they are trapped in the blind man's house. They have to battle it out with a blind man who is stronger than they thought. This horror film that stars Stephen Lang as the blind man is a movie you should definitely not watch solo. After the movie, you will never look down upon anyone ever again. That's the biggest lesson. The director of the film, Alvarez, brings out the tension in the film to make it more adrenaline-filled than anyone could ever imagine. A sequel of the same movie is scheduled to be released on August 2021. Antichrist. In Antichrist, a couple head out to a cabin after the death of their child. At the cabin, the man begins to experience strange visions, while the woman exhibits an increase in sexual behavior. This controversial experiment and psychological 2009 film was written and directed by Lars Von. It stars Charlotte Gainsbourg and Willem Dafoe. The movie that tackles themes such as motherhood and sexual violence is not a cup of tea for everyone and should not be watched alone. The Taking of Deborah Logan, US, 2014. The 2014 indie film begins with someone getting possessed and beginning to do weird things. Don't be deceived that this is your ordinary horror flick, because soon the movie takes a bizarre twist. Make sure you have someone by your side to cling on. In the film, a student called Maya records the day-to-day lives of Deborah and her daughter Sarah. Deborah was a former switchboard operator. During the recordings, they realize that Deborah, who is also suffering from Alzheimer's, is possessed, and this is where the chills began to fill the audiences who are daring enough to watch it. Previously, some critics thought that the film was based on a true story, but this is not the case. However, that doesn't change the fact that this flick is something you shouldn't watch alone. The Woman in Black, Britain, 2012. When we say that the power of the mind is strong or be careful what you say, you should listen. The Woman in Black film has a simple but crafty style. It begins on a Christmas Eve when Arthur's stepchildren suggest to Arthur to share with them a ghost story. Arthur, too disturbed, decides to write down the story instead. The film uses a traditional but unique way of storytelling. The film was a huge hit and grossing about $129 million worldwide. The film also received positive reviews. The performances of the actors, cinematography were also greatly praised. Have you watched the film? On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate the film? In 2015 sequel films, Woman in Black and Angel of Death were also released. I know most of you probably watched this film because Daniel Radcliffe was in it. The backstory in this film is also something to die for. If you have watched this flick, what do you think? Deliverance. This classical film is a film that I never get tired of watching, but I always watch it in the company of close friends. In the film, 4 friends head out of town, away from their family and jobs, for a week to Georgia. The men get the shock of their lives when they arrive for the canoeing plans, only to find locals who attack them in the deserted woods. The friends have to battle out for survival in the woods. It has some pretty scary scenes, and you should definitely not catch the movie alone. The film is also common for its notorious rape scene. In 2008, this movie was selected to be preserved in the United States National Film Registry for its historical, cultural, and aesthetical significance. The film stars were John Voight, Burt Reynolds, Ned Beatty, and Ronny Cox. It also scooped 3 Academy Awards and 5 nominations at the Golden Globe Awards. And that was our countdown on horror movies you can't watch alone. Which one from our list do you think is the scariest horror film of them all? Which one are you adding to your bucket list? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.